Yeah, so it's been really cool. We've had beta firms for a while, but to start seeing people that are actually paying us money get results is the best thing ever, frankly. One reached out to me the other day. He was on the platform for a week, and someone he had talked to, I think 2 years ago, he saw them on the site, reached out, said, hey, anything I could help with? Basically just, hey, if there's anything I can help with, let me know. They moved over 500K in new assets a day in the next day.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Don't Do That podcast. I'm your host, Kelly Waltrick, and I have got a treat for you today. I've got my friends David and Mike, the co-founders of Wealth Reach. If you haven't heard of Wealth Reach yet, I have a feeling you'll be clicking by the end of this episode. Guys, I'm really excited to have you. Thanks for joining.
Appreciate you having us.
Yeah.
You here.
We are on effort 3 to get this podcast recorded because we're all very busy running hard in our companies. And so the third time's a charm. And I'm thrilled to have you guys introduce yourselves, tell all of my listeners about who you are and about your business.
Yeah, of course. So I'm Mike Barrasso. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Wealth Reach. Initially started my career in software sales just as a appointment setter, kind of worked my way up at a couple different startups into closing deals and then managing teams. Joined the family RIA 3 years ago, and we've grown a ton since then. I've learned a ton about our industry as well, and taking a lot of the things we learned at our firm and that worked for us and building that into Wealth Reach.
Yeah, and I got my career started as a financial advisor. So I was an advisor for 7 years. The last 8 years, I've been in consulting with my consulting company, Model FA. And really what I've been working on for the last 8 years with firms ranging from ensembles, call it 200 to 800 million in assets, with a 5 to 12 person team or so. And then the other tranche is the $1 billion plus firms, really working on organic growth for them. And then when Mike and I met each other, I was actually coaching his father and the advisors at his firm. And then when he joined the firm, we started getting to know each other. Mike had built, let's just say, a little bit more janky version of what Wealth Reach is today, but it was still effective. And we decided to partner up and bring it to market together. So I think that's an important thing to note is we're both part of the industry already. And then we built technology to support the efforts that we were doing. So that's just a little quick background for you.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay, guys. So those of you listening know that I'm not easy to win over when it comes to technology to serve marketing, being that my firm is the one that executes and has to get the results. And so it has to work. But I sort of fell in love with these guys and their technology. I think first in love with you guys, and I'm just going to tell everybody why. My feeling on life and work is that you have to love what you do, right? And we navigate through our days. And I feel like this industry is what this industry is, and there's a lot of great people, but I ran into you guys and you guys love each other and you're so happy to be doing what you're doing. And that got me energized because I come into work feeling like that every day. Like I am lucky to be doing what I'm doing. And I love people who exude that too.
Well, Kelly, my wife would tell you, if you're familiar with the 4 Love Languages book, I am very much a words of affirmation person. So you just got my day started really, really well with those kind words. And I think the sentiment goes back to you as well. One of the things that we're really appreciative of is we started talking to you before we even launched. And we sort of spoke ahead of what we had. And you still took us seriously, and you were the first person we pitched on a partnership, and you were the first person after due diligence that said yes to a partnership.
Yeah.
So I'm excited where we are, but I'm also excited to see where we go together. So the feeling is very mutual.
Yeah, awesome. And Mike, so I need to tell everybody about you. Like, I feel like you don't sleep, and when you tell Mike that he should build something, you wake up in the morning and it's built and it's like magic. So tell us about that.
Yeah, I think David always jokes around with me with this, but like we'll be on calls together and someone will ask us, hey, can you do this? And David will be like, we could do that next week. And then will ping me after the call and be like, can we do that by next week? And I'm like, yeah, I'm on it. And then hopefully I have it done the next day. That's always the goal for me.
My gosh.
Yeah, I would say really it's just hard work. A lot of the AI tools out there definitely help me. So it's not just me, but I also have a great team that helps support me. I have a really great engineer on the backside that is always around whenever I need him. So it's not just me, it's also a really good team around me.
Awesome. Okay, so guys, give everybody now knows we all love each other. Give them an idea of like the technology. Tell them why you build it, what you're hoping it accomplishes, and what you're seeing early on as advisors start to use it.
Yeah. So right now, Wealth Reach in its current form is focused on prospecting. So our focus is surfacing people that are actively doing research right now. When I came into the space, I noticed that most of the tools were focused on money in motion, which is great. It's great data, definitely worth using, but I knew what I had access to in the software sales space, and I wanted to bring that over to the advisory space. So the focus was surfacing the people that are doing research now, and we call that people in motion. So that happens really in two different places. One, it's on your website naturally. So what we do is we install an invisible pixel on the firm's website. And then from there, we're able to recognize the exact people that are hitting your site down to the name, company they work at, email, LinkedIn. We pull in even net worth and income data, and we even show the advisor what pages they were looking at. Where the value in that is we look at it as super low hanging fruit. Kelly, you know this, a really good website converts maybe 1 out of every 10 people to a form fill, a download, a booked meeting, and that's a good site. Our hope is to surface those other people that are on the site, tap them on the shoulder and get the help they need. Why I say it like that, get the help they need. One of the things I found that coming into the industry and speaking with real clients is that it takes a lot of them a really long time to reach out, because reaching out for financial advice and reaching out to talk about your finances, I think for a lot of people, even very wealthy people, is super uncomfortable. For example, we had a client that came over to the firm and he's $15 million plus in net worth, and he was embarrassed that he didn't have enough. So people are kind of all over the place in terms of their finances, being embarrassed by it, and just getting that third party opinion. So us being able to go and tap them on the shoulder and get them the help they need a little bit earlier in the process could also save them a lot of pain in reaching out. The other way we surface people doing research is across the internet. So what we're able to do is aggregate cookie data, similar to how Google or Meta ads work. And then we're able to see who's doing research on wealth management, financial planning, tax planning, insurance planning, even target specific companies that they're doing research on across the internet. From there, the other goal at the platform was to make personalized outreach at scale really easy. What I saw in the software sales space when I first started and then coming over to this space was people were just blasting out kind of generic templated messages. And we've seen with AI spam filters and also people just becoming less receptive to them that the performance has declined. So we wanted to make a way for advisors to do really hyper personalized outreach. So doing research on every single person and then creating custom copy for them and helping them do that outreach at scale super easy. So that's the platform in its current form today.
Okay, so you've started to onboard advisors to the platform. Give me early thoughts, updates, feedback. Like what are firms saying to you?
Yeah, so it's been really cool. We've had beta firms for a while, but to start seeing people that are actually paying us money get results is the best thing ever, frankly. One reached out to me the other day. He was on the platform for a week, and someone he had talked to, I think 2 years ago, he saw them on the site, reached out, said, hey, anything I can help with? Basically just, hey, if there's anything I can help with, let me know. They moved over 500K in new assets a day in the next day, which not a huge win, but for me, first week on the platform to basically pay for the platform, that's a huge win.
So with the tool, you can reach out via email and LinkedIn as well, but you can also utilize the data to run ads. But what's been really powerful is the firms that have a team in place that also will pick up the phone and trail behind the ads, trail behind the emails, are having a lot of success. We have one firm just outside of Chicago that booked 10 appointments in February over the phone. So when they call that person, it's still a cold call, but it's a little bit warmer because they're referencing, hey, it's David from XYZ firm. Did you happen to get my email last week? And now you're in that conversation. So if you have someone on the team or a team of people within the team that is not shy to pick up the phone, that will really help accelerate your results as well.
I love it. So I love the website de-anonymization. I think that that's a baseline for what everybody needs to have. Like, you need to know who is paying attention. You need to know what they're looking at. You need to know that they're showing up and how often and why. So I think that's baseline for marketing. Like, if you guys are listening and you don't know who is landing on your site, that's like 101, the starting point. You need to know it. I think the other thing that's super interesting about what you guys are doing is showing the intent data. So understanding not just, who's showing up, but what they're searching for and why and where they're coming from. Like, that is power, guys. That is, for those of you that are listening, like, that's the foundation of any good campaign. And I think, all the AI stuff aside, well, maybe not all the AI stuff aside, maybe because of all the AI that's coming out and because of all the messages that are going out and how everybody now has a tool, having that intent data helps you stand out, right? It helps you differentiate your messaging from all the other stuff that has removed the humans from the equation. I think that's so important.
Well, think, Kelly, up until this point, when you're running ads for folks, so you're running ads based on certain geographies, based on certain demographics, but you have no idea if those people are actually interested in what the advisor provides. Now, not only are you able to utilize that intent data to target the exact people that are in motion, actively online, researching things related to what you do. But if they're researching, say, retirement planning, now all your messaging can be geared towards retirement planning specifically. Or if they're researching investment management, it can be tailored, all the language to investment management. And I can go through a whole host of different topics, but it's very powerful if you utilize the data correctly, because advisors got into this industry to be helpful to other people, not to be marketers per se.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them don't, no fault of their own, don't understand the power of this data if used appropriately.
Correctly.
And that's part of the reason why we partnered with you is because you understand that value prop and you can bring that directly to your clients.
Yeah, guys, just so you know, full disclosure. So we partnered together and intentionally is an execution partner for folks that buy WealthReach, but don't have the resources internally to run it. We're really excited about that. Something that you said caught my ear, though, I want to go back to the teams that have an internal call desk. So let's just take a minute on this, because what I am finding, and actually one of the things that has been most surprising to me since starting intentionally, is the lack of sales infrastructure inside of these firms. Historically, the advisor has done, has gotten referrals, has brought people in warm conversations, has made those conversions. And so getting RAs to think differently about the way that they set up their sales organization to be able to have colder conversations based on digital marketing has been a journey. So just curious, as you guys are talking to firms, what's that looking like?
So we actually spoke with he was a super cool dude. I won't share his full name, but his first name is Luke. We met him at Future Proof. And he's at a new company now, and he's tasked with building out the sales infrastructure that he built out at his last company. And the last company is a very, very large RIA, and he built out a 14-person sales team. And their job was to basically fill the calendars of the advisors with qualified folks.
Yep.
And all they did was just like straight cold calling. So they didn't have the intent data, they didn't have the website visitors, and they were still, as he said, booking 750 appointments per month, because that team was just hitting the phone a couple hundred times a day. And like, email helps, LinkedIn helps, direct mail helps, but like phone is still king. And you can generate a ton of activity. And now he's looking to recreate that same infrastructure at the new RIA that he's a part of. And then there's another very large RIA that we're talking to that has about 1,002 advisors, and they have a 10-person business development team. So there's sort of this inflection point at some point where an RIA hires a business development person and then a second one, and so on and so forth, once they get critical mass and can afford those people. But up until that point, there's people inside the firm that are wearing multiple hats just based on economics, and they may not be able to invest the appropriate amount of money and the appropriate type of person, but they can still be effective, but their life becomes a lot better when you have a team that's just solely focused on reaching out and helping people.
Yes. You know what? I go into a lot of conversations saying like that I know we can drive you leads. I know we can raise your brand visibility. I know we can get you in a good spot, but you still have to close the business. And so, yeah, I mean, it's just been wild, the gamut of different setups that I've seen internally at these firms and what works and what doesn't. And guys, for those of you that are listening, think about that. That firm is booking 750 appointments. If you're sitting there thinking to yourself, like, we don't make any outbound calls to any leads coming into our business, then you are missing the boat here, my friends, because it's true. It's a necessary part of the process.
Yeah, and I think one of the things we've noticed in a lot of the larger conversations we're having is a lot of these big aggregators and big firms are building out the infrastructure right now. They're all tasked with figuring out how to tackle organic growth.
Yep.
Some of them don't know where to start. Some of them are really, really dialed in and have a great plan. So if you're a mid-sized firm or even a larger firm and you're not thinking about this, it's time to start thinking about this 100%.
Yes. So guys, this is don't do that, because we all make mistakes. Life would not be fun without them, right? Like, you got to step in it to learn. So I want both of you to tell us what we're not doing today. What have you messed up that you've learned from that you want others to avoid?
David, you go first.
So
Mike's like, I need more time to think about this.
So I spoke about this actually at Future Proof when we were on a panel talking about can AI help unlock organic growth, and Future Proof was all about AI this, AI that, and it was such a good time. But I went back to the human component and kind of over-rotated away from AI to just remind everyone sort of why they got in the business in the first place. So when I say I was an advisor for 7 years, I should have had finger quotes up, because fresh out of college, I started at Northwestern slinging insurance and was very salesy, was pretty much begging for referrals. And it was all done in a very selfish way. I wanted to make more money. I wanted to bring on more clients. I wanted to better my life. And I would not do that. So one of the things I talked about, don't do that. I alienated a lot of relationships in that period of my life. But when I talk to firms today, a lot of them talk about organic growth, and they talk about organic growth as it relates to a percentage of assets that they manage. And when I was speaking with Daniel Gorvich on my podcast, it's not released yet, this episode, but he's over at Mercer. And I asked him, hey, tell me about the size and scope of Mercer. And he answered it perfectly. He said, there's been 40,000 people that have chosen us to serve them, and they have entrusted us with 100 billion of their assets. And it just really resonated with me, because a lot of firms talk about organic growth as a percentage of assets that they bring on. But we first need to remind ourselves why we all got into the business in the first place, which is to help people. And if you can start thinking about organic growth as it relates to the amount of new people that you have an opportunity to help every single year, and that becomes your firm's ethos, you now have service-oriented advisors who don't have a business development bone in their body. They just want to serve the heck out of their current clients. you now have those people charged with going out and helping more people, which in turn, if you stick to your client avatar appropriately, you hit your quote unquote organic growth goals anyways. So what I would encourage people to stop doing is stop thinking about growth in a selfish way and what it has to do with you and the impact that it has on you and your firm, and rather focus on organic growth as it relates to the amount of people that you want to help in any given year. So I would not do what I did for 7 years at Northwestern. And I would start doing what Daniel Gorbich talked about, which is go out and help people.
Mike, how are you going to top that? Because that was lovely.
Yeah, I can't believe I should have went first. I think a good example was when I first joined our family firm. I kind of looked at all of the things we weren't doing in terms of marketing and sales and having processes around those things. And I tried to tackle everything at once. Before we had a good website, good landing pages, I started to invest money in ads. We started to do cold email and with mostly templates. So I think not having a plan at first leaded to a bunch of wasted money at time. So I think once we got each piece of the puzzle of organic growth, from the front end website being dialed in from SEO, having great landing pages for ads, having that first part of the funnel built out, then having the conversion part of the funnel built out with the much more janky version of WealthReach, and then also a referral process via Dan Allison's referral methodology on the back end and how to multiply more of our clients. Once we got that full funnel built out, everything else fell into place. So I think my issue sometimes is that I jump into things and I try to solve every problem at once, where sometimes you need to tackle each thing one at a time. So don't do that.
You guys are cracking me up. I love both of those. Okay, so let's start with the idea of serving more people, because I love that. I feel like this industry's overemphasis on AUM growth is reaching an all-time crazy high. I think all the M&A is, it's just wild to watch, and I do think it's getting lost that like there are people at the end of all of these conversations that are looking for someone to take care of them. And I do worry about that with all the PE money in this space. Do think about that a lot. And like who's winning and who's losing in some of these scenarios. And so I agree with you. Like we need to remind ourselves what the growth we're aiming for is for at the end of the day. I always tell my team, I don't know how you feel about this, David, but I always tell my team, like the growth, I try to couch growth in like what it allows us to do. Like, okay, so our goal for this year is X. It's not about growing the revenue. It's because we want to be able to add this resource that's going to give our clients the ability to do this, or we want to make your benefits better, or we want to make, we want to provide the team with better access to tools that are in turn going to give our clients access. So I try to remind myself that like it's a means to something. The growth is a means to something. And I try to couch it to my team and like, hey, if we hit these goals, these are the things that we're going to do that are going to be better for you, that are going to be better for our clients, that are going to be better for our team as a whole. And so I guess that's baby steps towards what you're saying. But I do agree it helps drive culture.
Well, I think it's not baby step towards what I said. I think they go hand in hand. So one is just the ethos of the firm in ensuring that everyone is charging for the right reasons. which is to help people.
Yep.
But, and one of the things that we've noticed, that I'm sure you've noticed as well, is that as the owners of the firm, it's tough to find people who take ownership in their roles because they don't own the firm per se. And when you position things the way that you just shared, you're giving them a reason why. So it starts with being selfless by wanting to grow to help more people, but you can still have, and this, I don't say this word negatively, you can still have selfish reasons to grow as well, of in terms of like, here's how it impacts your life as well.
Right. Yep.
So I think they go hand in hand. And to your point, it certainly helps drive culture, because as entrepreneurs, like, we have everything mapped out in our mind, but if we're not doing a good job communicating that to the folks that are frankly building the business alongside us, if we don't do a good job communicating that, then it just feels like a job to them as opposed to making it feel like a mission. And when it feels like a mission, you have people who act entrepreneurial and are innovating along the way, all because they want to help more people and they see the direct impact on their life as well. So I think they go hand in hand.
I love that you think I have a map in my head.
It may not be organized, but it you know,
There's
as long as it's
something
made with crayons and pencils and whatnot, like, that's enough.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay. So, Mike, let's go to your don't do that, because I love it too. And I think it's so smart. Starting without a plan is, man, I would say the majority of the firms in our space do that for
It's
sure.
really easy in this space to blow a ton of money and get no results.
Yes, it is. And I think it's like, I think people think I'm going to start somewhere. So I don't think it's that they totally don't get it. I think it's that they have smaller budgets to start. They want to test something, but their immediate mind, and from what I see, is like, how do I test something that's going to get me the fastest results? You know, the easiest and fastest results, which is usually like starting in the middle of the process without laying the foundation to like make those results last. So I would say that is for sure. If I have, I don't know, 100 conversations with RAs a week, that's the majority of them are starting in the middle of the process.
Yeah, I think there's the best way to fast results is always going to be what we talked about before, picking up the phone and dialing. So if you're a smaller advisor, I think that is the easiest route forward if you want quick results. But I think the most high impact thing that is more longer term is getting the whole funnel built out. And that really starts with your website, making sure it's dialed in from an SEO and AEO perspective. So we're starting to drive eyeballs to your business. And then you could convert more of those folks by doing outreach to them. So I think starting to build that engine is important. It's just kind of where you want to start.
Yeah. It's funny. So this week I had a prospect tell me, hey, we're ready to get started, but we want you to remove the upfront planning from and like messaging exercise from the scope. And I'm like, okay, so tell me about that. So we're going to do all this work with no plan. And the messaging, he's like, well, we have messaging. And I was like, oh, can you show me? And are we going to be using this messaging? He's like, no, I don't really like the messaging. I was like, okay, so let's just regroup here. We're going to start executing your marketing without a plan because we don't want to take that step. And you have messaging, but you don't like the messaging, but you want to remove the messaging and you use the messaging that you don't like. So these are the conversations that I have on a daily basis where I'm like, what are we doing? What are we doing here? What are we doing? It's okay. I do love it. Back to our beginning of this call conversation. I love every second of it, but I do spend a lot of time trying to get firms to understand
well, and it's
that.
not, I would go as far as to say that, like, it's not their fault that they think the way they do. Like I said earlier, in the podcast, you know, people got into this industry to help people and do financial planning. And now they're tasked in this scenario, they're not tasked with doing the marketing because you're going to support them, but they're still tasked with making that decision.
Yeah.
And that decision often comes down to dollars and cents. And it's tough for them to grasp that. When they look back retroactively after working with you guys for 6 months, a year or two, they're like, oh goodness, this is the best money I've ever spent. But at the onset, like, having the ability on your guys' end to, for lack of a better way to say it, sell them and get them in your ecosystem, you know they're going to benefit, but there needs to be some salesmanship, so to speak, at the beginning to get them to buy what you know they need because they don't know they need it.
You're right. And you know what? They're also coming from a place of, like, this firm in particular, where a lot of firms I talk to, and probably the ones you talk to, are coming from a place of they've tried so many tried so many things to grow. And so this didn't work and that didn't work. And for what reason, sometimes we don't know. There's a lot of things at play here, a lot of things that have to go right. So in this case, they had done these exercises before. They didn't get the outcome that they wanted. And so the thought of having to go through those exercises again to get the outcome that they want is hard to stomach. But to Mike's point, starting without a plan.
I look at it as like building out an investment plan before having a financial plan, to put it in industry speak. It makes absolutely no sense. You can't put together an investment plan without knowing what the rest of the financial situation looks like. So I would look at it really the same way.
Agree. All right, guys, for those of you listening, we are doubling up our Don't Do That today, which I'm psyched about. We are not starting marketing without a plan. Stepping into marketing in the middle is a real fast way to spend a lot of money for no results, as Mike has reminded us all. And I know a lot of you on this podcast are probably thinking, yeah, I've stepped in that too. And David so wonderfully reminded us to remember why we got into this industry and to frame why we're doing what we're doing around helping more people versus just growing AUM. Seems obvious, right? I'm just like, come on. To investors is one thing, to the world, and I don't know. Or we shouldn't have to have that conversation in 2026, in my opinion, but here we are.
What's interesting about that is when you truly convince yourself of the truth, which is your job is to help more people, but we've gotten away from that. But when you truly convince yourself, even things like some of the referral strategies that we discuss alongside Dan Allison, who's been doing it for 22 years, it goes from trying to model yourself after a script that we give you to then just telling the truth. Mm-hmm. And I had a client actually Wednesday, Julie, where she said, and again, it's so obvious, but she's like, I finally believe that my job is to help more people. I'm like, goodness, but I'm glad, right?
Yeah.
But that's how far we've gone, where what I just said is, I'm going to use this word. I don't mean it like this, but it's like profound when people hear it. It's like, what do you mean? Like that's why you got in the business. But they're so far removed from that, that in my call with her, on Wednesday, she said, I finally believe that I'm helping more people, and therefore the language that I'm using, it makes sense and it feels honest. I go, share with me some of the language. And when she first shared the language weeks ago, it felt forced. It felt robotic. And Wednesday, she said the same exact words, but they just flowed because she finally believed that she was speaking the truth, not trying to marry herself to a script, because her belief is aligned with the language that she's using. So it seems obvious, and I wish it was obvious, but we all need, myself included, a reminder, because a lot of the advisors in this industry are hard charging. They have big goals. They want to do significant things in their life. But along that journey, you can unintentionally remove yourself from the purpose that you entered this industry with. So that reminder, I think, is incredibly needed right now. It's obvious when you hear it, but when you actually start to believe it, growth is no longer an issue. Infrastructure is an issue to support the growth that you have, all because your mindset changes.
Love that. I came from eMoney early in my career, and they stand out to me as one of the ones that does that so well. Like, they have never wavered from their messaging and their goal to be helping advisors build more plans to help more people. Like, never wavered from that. And I feel like, they're just a great example for this industry in terms of like setting the appropriate intentions.
I think a lot of advisors sometimes just need that reminder of the impact that they're actually having on people. When I first joined the firm, and David will remember this really well, getting my dad to do reviews was tough. We had both been pushing for it. David had been pushing for it for a while. I started pushing for it as soon as I got there. And as I sat in more meetings with him and his clients and just seeing the impact he had on them and how much they loved him, frankly. I wanted him to do the reviews and collect the reviews and go through that process.
Yeah.
He finally caved to it. And in the first day, he got something like 40 reviews, which was just crazy. And when I say he got 40 reviews, this was not like 5 stars, Jerry was great, love him. It was paragraphs. Every review was a paragraph of like heartfelt praise. And seeing his reaction to that was genuinely one of like, it's a core memory for me. And I remember David too. He's like, I'm so glad we did that. Like that was unbelievable to see his reaction. And after that, you could see he just carried himself different, which was so cool.
Yes.
Well, it's funny. I remember getting on my next call with him, Mike, and I said something to the effect of like, so I heard you finally sent out the email to all your clients to collect, Google and Wealth Tender reviews. And I just sat there and smiled. And because it took me like 8 or 9 months to get him to finally do it, because he was petrified that someone was going to leave a bad review. I'm like, bro, people love you. Like, you don't worry about that. And then I remember, I don't know, it was maybe within 6 months after that, Mike, you had shared something about he was either stressed out one day or was having a bad day. And the first thing I told you to have him do is I said, hey, have him go and read his reviews. It'll turn around his day like that. It's pretty powerful. And if you're a words of affirmation person like me, hearing those kind words can turn any day around, no matter how bad it is.
And up your confidence and, give you the ability to ask for referrals, and then it all happens from there. Yeah. I need to meet your dad someday.
Yeah.
He's awesome. You'd love him.
He's
So good. All right, guys. I'm so thrilled that you joined today. Hey, for those of you listening, you got a double don't do that on this Friday morning. So I think that that's an awesome way to enter the weekend. Check out Wealth Reach. I think you'll be glad that you did. Like I told you at the beginning of the show, everybody needs a website de-anonymizer. If that's where you start, that's a great step. So do it. Intentionally is here to help you if you want some help. And I think these guys are going to be back on the show in a couple of years, and this tool is going to be in the hands of all of you. So excited for you guys. Excited to be part of your journey. Thanks for taking me along for the ride. It's excited to be your partner and jazzed to watch you guys continue to do great things.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Kelly.
it,
Yeah,
Kelly.
to reiterate what David said earlier. We're so excited to be working with you, and we remember all the time, and I think it's a core memory for both of us that you were the first partnership to believe in us, and that means a ton. So we're excited.
Oh, thanks so much. All right, guys. I hope you have a great weekend.
You as well.
You too.
Thanks so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed today's show, subscribe to be notified when new episodes become available. And please consider giving us a 5-star review on Apple or Spotify. This podcast is sponsored by Intentionally, a financial services growth engine design consultancy and agency. If you want to learn more, please email me at kelly@growintentionally.com. Thank you again for listening, and check back to hear what we're not doing next.
The information covered and posted represents the views and opinions of the guest and does not necessarily represent the views or opinions of Kelly Waltrick. The content has been made available for informational and educational purposes only.